All right, let's talk about dividing fractions today. So our first question is 5/6 divided by 3/4. So when you are dividing by a fraction, come back. When you are dividing by a fraction, so we have 5/6 divided by 3/4 here. What you need to do is you can't divide. What we do is what is called multiplying by the reciprocal. And what that means, all that means is you flip the second fraction and multiply. So our first fraction stays exactly the same. It was 5/6, it stays 5/6. But instead of dividing, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply. And instead of multiplying by 3/4, we have to flip it. We multiply by 4/3. Now it's just a basic multiplication problem, which is what we learned in the last lesson. So we multiply 5 times 4 is 20, 6 times 3 is 18. We could have simplified before we multiplied, but I didn't there. So 18 goes into 20 one time with 2 left over. I can simplify that, and that would be 1 and 1/9 as my answer. So basically, division, the first step is turn it into a multiplication problem. And once you do that, you just do what you've already learned about multiplying fractions. To turn a division problem into multiplication, you take the second fraction and you flip it, and then you multiply. So let's do a couple. So 4/11 times 3/5. So our first step is going to be turn it into multiplication. 4/11 stays the same. 3/5 is going to flip, and it's going to become 5/3. And now, if I can simplify, I'm going to simplify, but I look at this, I have a 4 and a 5 on top, 11 and a 3 on the bottom. I don't see any simplifying that can take place, so I'm just going to multiply. 4 times 5 is 20, 11 times 3 is 33. Well, that's my answer, 20/33, because that can't be simplified. So let's look at our next one. 5/8 divided by 5/6. So first thing I do, 5/8 stays the same. Second fraction. You can put the X symbol for multiplication or the dot. It doesn't matter. So instead of dividing by 5/6, we multiply by 6/5. I flip it. Now I look at this. I can definitely simplify before I multiply, and I can actually double simplify. What I mean by that is, so I'm going to look at my 5s. 5 over 5. 5 and 5, I can divide both of those by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Then 6 and 8, I can divide both of those by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And now if you look at this, all of a sudden it's 1 times 3, which is 3. 4 times 1 is 4. And you got 3/4. And it doesn't matter. You did not need to do that simplifying. If you just multiplied right away, you would have got 30 over 40, which you then easily could have simplified to 3/4. So it really doesn't matter. But you can see in the end, we get 3/4. All right, our last one here, 1/7 divided by 1/14. So first thing, 1/7 stays the same. Second fraction, I flip it. 1/14 becomes 14 over 1. You could simplify or just multiply and then simplify. It doesn't matter. If I multiplied first, I'd get 14 over 7, which I recognize is just 2, because 7 goes into 14 2 times. All right, so that's the first set of problems there. So next, I would like you to do these 3 on your own. So pause the video, do these 3 problems, please. Okay, you should have completed these 3 problems. So here are the answers. You can pause this and look over the answers. So we'll pause this and look over the answers. All right, let's talk about dividing when we have mixed numbers. So here's how we got to do it. When you're dividing or multiplying fractions, you have to make them improper. You can't leave them mixed. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make them improper. So 1 3/8, that would be 8 times 1 is 8 plus 3 is 11. So that'd be 11/8. I'm still going to leave this as division. I haven't changed anything yet. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. That'll be 12/5. Now I'm going to flip it and multiply. So now it becomes 11/8 times 5/12. So I flip that fraction and now I'm going to multiply. I'm going to look and see if I can simplify because these are pretty big numbers. But I don't see anything, so I'm just going to multiply. 11 times 5 is 55. 8 times 12 is 96. They cannot simplify because the only thing that goes into 55 is 5 or 11, and I know they don't go into 96. So that's my answer, 55/96. So let's look at our next one. 1 3/4 divided by 6. So first thing I'm going to do, make them improper fractions. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So 1 3/4 becomes 7/4. Divided by, instead of 6, I'm going to write that as 6/1. Now I'm going to flip it. So it would be 7/4, that stays the same, times 1/6. I don't think I can simplify it all here. So 7 times 1 is 7. 4 times 6 is 24. There's nothing I can do that can't simplify. So my answer is 7/24. All right, let's see what's next. All right, I'd like you to pause the video here and do both of these problems. Okay, you should have paused on the video and done those. So here is the answers. So you can pause this and look over the answers. Okay, you should have checked those over. Let's move on here. So a Lego is 4/5 of a centimeter tall. We learned that in the last video. If a Lego tower is 80 centimeters tall, how many Legos were stacked on top of each other? Is this just the same question in reverse? I don't know. We will find out. I don't know. I don't think it is. So a Lego is 4/5 of a centimeter tall. The Lego tower is 80 centimeters tall. So the Lego tower is 80 centimeters tall, and we want to know how many Legos fit. If each Lego is 4/5 of a centimeter, if we divide by 4/5, that'll tell us how many Legos there are. So we're going to do 80 divided by 4/5. So that would be 80/1, but instead of dividing, I'm going to multiply. Multiply by 5/4. So now I'm going to simplify. I'm going to simplify beforehand because I can see I have 80 and 4. I know they both could divide by 4. So that would be 20, and that would be 1. This is a lot easier now. 20 times 5 is 100. 1 times 1 is 1. 100/1 is just 100. So there are 100 Legos in an 80 centimeter tower. 100 Legos. All right, one last question. 6 people were in a plane crash in the mountains. They are waiting for help to arrive. They only have 2/3 of a gallon of water remaining. How much water will each person get if they split it evenly? So your life depends on it. Can you divide correctly with a fraction to get the appropriate amount of water? Let's find out. So there's 6 people in the plane crash, and there's 2/3 of a gallon of water. So we know it's either 6 divided by 2/3 or 2/3 divided by 6. And I have a lot of students who get confused. Which one goes first? Whatever goes first is what you are dividing. So there's 6 people and there's 2/3. There's people and there's gallons of water. Am I dividing up the people or am I dividing up the water? Obviously, I'm dividing the water. So it's going to be 2/3 divided by the 6 people. So I know that would be 2/3 divided by 6/1 if I made that into a fraction, a mixed number, or an improper fraction, sorry. So then I got to flip it. So it'd be 2/3 times 1/6. If I multiply, that's 2/18, which I could simplify by 2 to 1/9. So each person is getting 1/9 of a gallon of water. So hopefully help arrives soon. All right, that is it for this lesson.